Alright, so this is the second video in how to work on your neck, and this is our guitar lab here at Sinclair Community College. The bottom line is that last time we glued the fretboard on the neck, and at this point we found that the truss rod is totally glued in. And there's no way that we're going to be able to pull it out, and I wouldn't recommend even trying to pull it out. So I have a helper today, and we are going to show you how to take care of this. What it requires is two hammers. Okay, it requires two different hammers. I'm going to set the smaller hammer on. We're going to flip this around so the camera can see it. We're going to set the smaller hammer on the neck. The second hammer is going to hit and provide a shock wave. And that shock wave will result in the truss rod breaking free, because glue does not react very well to shear. And that's what we're doing, is we're shearing the glue bond and using the shock wave to accomplish that. It's a cool physics lesson to demonstrate in your classroom. So now that the truss rod's free again, we don't have to worry about where it's going to be located. We'll unwrap the fretboard and the neck bond, and our next step is that we need to clean it up. We need to get the glue off, all the glue that is hardened, and prepare it for fret dots. Okay, so there's a fair amount of glue residue on the neck itself, and there's two ways to get it off. The way that I find the easiest way to get the glue off is by use of a scraper. And using the scraper, you want to have a nice burr on the edge of the scraper, and use that to help pull not only the machine marks but all the extra glue off the neck. So I'll just clamp this down, and we'll do a little bit of scraping as a demonstration. What you're going for with scraping is that you want to get a nice curl of wood. You're not trying to sand it, you're trying to pull a curl of wood off. And it will be much faster than sanding to get to a finished surface. So the top part is just about finished now, and it took less than 2 minutes. So by far the use of scrapers to getting finished surfaces, much better and much easier to work with. So how do we deal with the side? Well, we need to make sure that the side of the fretboard and the side of the neck are at the same level. To accomplish this, we're going to use a flat sanding panel again. So we're going to use the same tool that we use to level or provide flatness to the neck and to the fretboard, to also provide that linear taper, because the fretboard has got a linear taper on it. We don't want to sand this manually in any way, shape, or form. You could scrape it, but I've seen many times that students and faculty dig in. So what happens when you don't follow the procedure right? Well, let's take a comparison look at these two. You can easily see that this neck has been shaved. It's nowhere near the same width as the actual neck needs to be. And this was done not on purpose, but what happened was that they sanded or shaved one side, and then they looked at it and said, oh no, I got to fix it on the other side, and then they went back and fixed it on the first side, and they went up and back. This is great now for a cigar box guitar, but this is definitely not a playable guitar neck for an electric guitar. So ultimately what we're going to do is sand the fretboard and the neck to make them in the same plane. We're going to use basically 120 grit. Take off the material very quickly. Do both sides. This will help prevent any issues with keeping this as a straight linear taper. And so it won't take too long overall to get this set. And so when we're finished, this will blend very nicely. And in addition, we can continue to use the scraper on the back of the neck to finish that out. The next step would be to put fret dot markers in your fretboard. And so what we're doing at this point is we're starting to lay out where the fret dots are on the fretboard itself. Locations 3, 5, 7, 9, 12, and I'm going to show you how to do the 12th fret. That's usually a double. Don't worry about side markers until you actually have finish on your neck. You'll then put side markers in and then continue to put finish over it to seal the side markers in. But at this point, we're going to worry just about the fret dots. So fret number 12 is a double. And so in essence, what we're going to have to do is split this. Instead of just doing a single X, we're going to have to do a double X. So first I'm going to split the area into equal distances. Using the straight edge, I can line up all the dots, and that'll give me the straight location of my position. So now with that, I can make two smaller X's. Those are going to be the ones that I'll drill. Don't worry about all the pencil marks. They will get sanded off when you put the radius on your fretboard. So those should now be aligned and then centered within that space. Okay, so now we're set up at the drill press. This happens to be a 1/4 inch diameter drill. Roughly 6.3 millimeters, which is usually the size that fret dots come in, is a 1/4 inch diameter location. The idea is that we're going to go about 1/8 of an inch deep with a Forstner bit. And you don't want to go much deeper because, of course, you don't necessarily want to plow into the truss rod below it. So you just want to go about 1/8 inch deep. Again, we're going to line up. And that is about 1/8 inch. So the goal is about 1/8 inch deep, which is about half the thickness of the fretboard for your dots. So our last step in setting up the fret dots is actually using a piece of Delrin or other acrylic-based rod. Now you can use pre-cut fret dots. And when using pre-cut fret dots, you have to be very careful on the depth, because you have to look at the depth of the fret dot as you drill, so that way you don't go too deep. Or you're going to have to double up on your fret dots and layer them. The reason why we use the 1/4-inch diameter rod is that way we don't have to worry about how deep a student may drill. What we'll do is we'll lay a small dot of super glue, we'll press the rod in, and then we'll use a flush cut saw to take care of it. So, first step is a dot of super glue. It doesn't take much. Super glue. We'll press the rod in. And then what we'll use to ensure that we don't mar the face, even though we're going to sand it, I still don't want to cut into it. What I did was I folded over a piece of paper. You can use a note card, that will work also. We'll use a flush cut saw and we'll cut off the rod. Using the piece of paper will guarantee that you're slightly over the face and don't forget you are going to be sanding this, so and we do the same thing on the next one. Again, we ensure that the rod is somewhat flush. If we have to, we'll sand it. Drop a super glue. And we can just sand it on a piece of sandpaper to make it flush if we need to. Drop a super glue. Press it in. And once again, it doesn't take long for the super glue to set up, usually within the first 30 seconds or a minute. Ah, what happened? Super glue didn't set up. So this time, we'll let the super glue set before we saw. Seconds. So this time we waited for the glue to set up instead of hurrying along and trying to cut it before it's ready. And so that one's a little bit high, but it will get sanded down when we do the radiusing of our fretboard.